Hello guys, my name is Gary and welcome to chessdelights.com YouTube channel. Do you keep on searching for chess tricks and lessons you wanted to learn and implement in your game? Maybe you're just like me that I love to learn chess tricks and lessons, especially for black. Then you are on the right video. If you do have an amazing chess tricks or lessons for black, please do share it with us and just leave your comment below. Okay, so what are the four chess tricks and lessons in the opening and middle game that you can use for black? So first, let me explain that I'm going to share with you four chess tricks in this order. Two chess tricks or lessons for opening, two chess tricks or lessons for middle game. I chose to select essential and common chess lessons tricks that can actually happen within an opening or in the middle game of chess. So here are the four chess tricks and lessons for black in the opening and middle game. So in the opening game, number one is capturing pawns, which is a gambit that can lead to a double attack. Number two in the opening game is ignoring or ignored pawn attack that becomes a queen or gets promoted. So let's take a look at each of them in the next video. So the first one in the opening game is capturing pawns that can lead to a double attack. Okay, so in this example, I'm going to show you how capturing pawns can lead to a double attack, wherein the pawns or the pawn in this game is a gambit, and this is in the opening game. So the move starts with pawn to e4, and black responds with pawn to e5, knight f3 by white, and knight to c6 by black, and white plays an Italian game with bishop to c4, and now black makes a move that's called the Blackburn shilling gambit, wherein the black pawn on e5 is being offered as a gambit in this game. Now, the mistake that white is going to do is capturing the gambit, and this has caused white a double attack from the queen on g5, wherein the queen is attacking the g2 pawn as well as attacking the knight on e5. In this game, is that white tries to capture the pawn on f7. So when the knight captures the pawn on f7, black now will capture g2 on the king side of white, wherein a lot of problem will occur in this game for white, and rook to f1 by the white and capturing pawn e4 plus check by the black. So if your opponent doesn't know how to reply, then you can easily mate your opponent. So if white plays bishop to e2, then you already saw the game has ended with knight to f3, and it's also called the smothered mate. Okay, so that is the first trick or chess lesson in the opening game for black to win. The lesson you need to remember is if it is early in the game and there is an apparent capture that looks free and the moves the same piece twice, you need to think hard and look for some um, not so obvious tricks or lesson, and in this case it is a double attack. Now let's take a look at the second chess trick or lesson for the opening game where black wins. Okay, so now let's take a look at ignored pawn attack becomes a queen. So the first move is pawn to e4 and then a Caro-Kann by black with pawn to c6, pawn to d4, d5, knight c3 by white, and then black takes e4, white takes e4. Now the black knight is attacking the white knight on f6, then knight to g3, when the whole lesson or trick happens with this move by knight, and then h5 by black, bishop to g5 by white, attacking the knight on f6. You continue by moving to h4, continue to h4, attacking the white knight, and then bishop takes f6. And then you continue with capturing the knight on g3. And now here, white tries to save its bishop by moving to e5, which is a mistake. And now black takes the pawn on h2 by the rook, and white takes with rook h2, and instead of capturing it immediately by the pawn, black checks the king on a5, and then white blocks the check with a pawn to c3. Now you capture bishop on e5 as a sacrifice, and pawn takes e5. Now you capture the rook on h2, wherein white has no way to stop the queening of black on the h file. So that's the chess lesson about ignoring a pawn attack, and then eventually it becomes a problem, and in this game it becomes a queen. So that is the second chess trick and lesson. The lesson here is do not ignore any move by pawn, especially even if you think it is a little bit silly, and as you can see in the game, it is not. You need to practice these opening chess tricks for black to be able to, recall or remember them and use them on your next game. Now let's take a look at the chess trick and lesson in the middle game where black wins. So in the middle game, we have number 1, keep looking for strong positions. Number 2, block your opponent's important squares when you have a material advantage. Let's take a look at the first chess trick and lessons in the middle game for black. Okay, so now in this chess trick or chess lesson in the middle game for black, we're gonna look at keep looking for strong positions. Okay, so we're gonna start by knight takes e5 or the knight on e5, and black sacrifices the queen on f4, knight f3 check. Now white takes f3, then bishop takes f3, rook f to e1, rook f d8, rook e3 trying to attack the bishop, and then bishop goes back to b7, white checks g3, and then f8 by the king, rook d1 by white, rook a c8, bishop c2, king e7. Now the king is becoming active in this game. We're gonna see how black tries to win a good position to win the game. So now white plays bishop to b3, king f6, trying to secure the king, and then white plays c4, black plays a6, bishop, rook to c3. Now black checks the white king on g8, king to f1, rook to g4, f3 by white, black takes f4, king to f2, rook to h4. As you can see, the black tries to use all the squares or all the strong positions that it can utilize to gain a better position in the game. Now the king attacks the rook and the rook moves to h5, rook to c2, protecting the pawns. Now black moves the bishop to b7, d5, black takes d5, white takes d5, exposing the rook exchange. Now black takes rook to in c2, bishop takes c2, now bishop takes d5. Rook to d2 by white, and a nice move by black by taking the d5 pawn, wherein the rook cannot take the bishop because of a check by the pawn here, and attacking the rook on d5 by the black rook on h5. And now black moves the bishop to e6, and then white tries to make an exchange with the bishop on b3, rook to g5 check by the black. King moves forward by attacking the rook on f4. Now here black's trying to make a strong position on g1, and white moves to rook to f2, rook b1, attacking the bishop on b3. As you can see, now bishop moves on c2 and exposing the pawn on a2. Now the black has another strong position on b2, rook to e2 by white, which cannot do anything, and to save the pawn on a2, and black takes a2, which in this case black clearly has more material advantage and strong position in this game. Okay, so that is the first video in the middle game, and we have learned that if If your opponent has a better understanding of the middle game, they will keep on looking for stronger positions for their chess pieces and try to gain material advantage as much as they can. Now let's take a look at the next chess trick and lesson in the middle game where black wins. Okay, so still in the middle game, in this chess lesson, it's block your opponent's important squares when you have a material advantage. So let's start with white plays rook f to c1, rook takes c1 check, then white takes c1. Now black moves to b5 check, and then check by rook on c8, and black plays bishop on e8, queen to e5, king f8, bishop f3 by white, queen to b4 by black, rook to b8, queen to d6. Now black is trying to make an exchange with white, and white moves its king to f4, and still black takes queen on f4. Pawn takes f4. Now in this game, black's knight is trying to secure the squares, and on this c8, so the move that white makes is king to f1, and then king is also trying to block the squares on d8 by moving its king on e7. Now white plays e4, and now the black knight moves to d7, attacking the rook on b8, and as you can see, the rook has nowhere to go but on a8, and then again black tries to attack the rook on b6. The rook moves to b8, king moves to d7, making it really difficult for the white rook to escape. And then white moves to e5, and king just ignored the attack of white on its knight. Instead, king moves to c7, and rook takes e8, just no other choice, and then black takes e8. Now d6 checked by white, king c8 by black, checked by bishop to g4, blocked by knight to d7, and blocking the pawn on d6, f5 by white, knight takes e5, and just made the d6 pawn an isolated pawn, which is a weak pawn on this game. So the lesson here is knowing how to block important squares when you are in a material advantage. So that is the second chess trick and lesson: block your opponent's important squares when you have a material advantage. In that game, the knight blocked the promoting pawn, and eventually black won the game. The lesson here is to avoid getting your chess pieces in a tight square where there's no chance of escape, like the rook. Identify possible squares that can be blocked. In order to become familiar with this chess trick and lesson in the middle game, for black to win, you need to practice these chess tricks. Of course, practice makes perfect. There you have it, the 4 chess tricks and lessons you can implement in your next chess game. If you do enjoy this video, I still have 9 more chess tricks and lessons also in the end game, both for white and black, on my website. Just go to chessdelights.com/lessons and you will find 9 more chess tricks and lessons you can study and use on your next chess game. Thank you for watching.